Hi, kindergarten. Welcome back to Story Time with Miss B. We're going to kick off this week of read-alouds. We're not doing a chapter book this week. We're going to do different versions of the Little Red Riding Hood fairy tales. So we're going to start off with an original, and it's written and illustrated by James Marshall. He does some really cool illustrations. Whenever you see just one name at the bottom or anywhere on the cover of a book, you will know that person did two jobs for the book. They wrote the book, so they were the author, and they did the pictures, so that means they're also the illustrator. So Red Riding Hood by James Marshall. Long time ago, in a simple cottage beside the deep, dark woods, there lived a pretty child called Red Riding Hood. She was kind and considerate, and everybody loved her. One afternoon, Red Riding Hood's mother called to her. "Granny isn't feeling up to snuff today," she said, "so I've baked her favorite custard as a little surprise." So not feeling up to snuff means she's not feeling very good. "Be a good girl and take it to her, will you?" Red Riding Hood was delighted. She loved going to Granny's, even though it meant crossing the deep, dark woods. When the custard had cooled, Red Riding Hood's mother wrapped it up and put it in a basket. "Now, whatever you do," she said, "go straight to Granny's. Do not tarry." That means don't just stand around. "Do not speak to any strangers." "Yes, Mama," said Red Riding Hood. So right now our setting has two things. It has a long time ago, and it also was at Red Riding Hood's house. But now our setting of Red Riding Hood's house is about to change. And that can happen in stories. They can have many different settings. Before long, she was in the deepest part of the woods. "Ooh," she said, "this is scary." I think I'd be a little scared too. What about you? Suddenly, a large wolf appeared. "Good afternoon, my dear," he said. "Care to stop for a little chat?" "Oh, gracious me," said Red Riding Hood. "Mama said not to talk to strangers." But the wolf had such charming manners. "And where are you going, sweet thing?" he said. "I'm on my way to visit Granny, who lives in the pretty yellow house on the other side of the woods," said Red Riding Hood. "She's feeling poorly, and I'm taking her a surprise." "You don't say," said the wolf. Then he had a delightful idea. "No reason why I can't eat both," he thought. "Allow me to escort you," he said. "You never know what might be lurking about." "You're too kind," said Red Riding Hood. Now, how many of you are thinking, what is she thinking? She doesn't know this wolf. She should know about wolves, shouldn't she? I don't know. She's just too kind, I guess. Beyond the forest, they came to a patch of sunflowers. "Why not pick a few?" suggested the wolf. "Grannies love flowers, you know." But while Red Riding Hood was picking a pretty bouquet, the clever wolf hurried on ahead to Granny's house. See, you can't trust the wolf. "Who is it?" called out Granny. "It is I, your delicious, darling granddaughter," said the wolf in a high voice. "The door is unlocked," said Granny. How does she not know it's not red? I don't know. "Surprise!" said the wolf. Granny was furious at having her reading interrupted. Get out of here, you horrid thing! She shouted. Granny likes to read. But the wolf gobbled her right up. He didn't even bother to chew. Tasty, he said, patting his belly. So tasty. Then he heard footsteps on the garden path. Here comes dessert. And losing no time, he put on Granny's cap and glasses, jumped into bed, and pulled up the covers. Now, does that look like Granny to you? It doesn't look like Granny to me. Who is it? He called out in his sweetest Granny voice. It is I, your little granddaughter, said Red Riding Hood. The door is unlocked, said the wolf. Red Riding Hood was distressed, upset, at seeing her grandmother so changed. Why, Granny, she said, what big eyes you have! The better to see you with, my dear, said the wolf. And Granny, what long arms you have! The better to hug you, my dear, said the wolf. And Granny, what big teeth you have! Oh no. The better to eat you, my dear, cried the wolf. Oh no. Yikes. And he gobbled her right up. I was so wicked, he said, so wicked. And really, he was enormously pleased with himself, and having enjoyed such a heavy meal, he was soon snoring away. A hunter passing by was alarmed by the frightful racket. That doesn't sound like Granny, he said. And so the brave hunter jumped in the window, killed the sleeping wolf, and cut him open. Out jumped Granny and Red Riding Hood. We're ever so grateful, said Red Riding Hood. That wicked wolf won't trouble you again, said the hunter. It was so dark in there I couldn't read a word, said Granny. Red Riding Hood promised never, ever to speak a nut to another stranger, charming manners or not. And she never did. That's the end of Red Riding Hood by James Marshall. Snip, snap, snap. Our story's all told out. Bye, kindergarten. See you later.